show here. Thank you so much for having me as a keynote speaker. I'm so excited to be the first one. I get to test the sound system. And I'm going to get to spend a nice half hour together. So, welcome to the Confident Women's Conference. The proof is in you. Wave that up. Yep, that's me. The proof is in you. I want to thank you for having me as your speaker. Some of you have already heard me speak, and those that haven't heard me speak, I have a gift for you. I have a gift for you of a guided meditation video. So come to my table afterwards and sign up for that one. Those that have already heard me speak, that already got that gift, you can tell the other people how awesome it is. It's just a 6-minute video, just beautiful imagery and a guided meditation about your perfect positioning in the universe, which is another way of saying realizing your will, not mine. When things don't turn out exactly just the way you wanted them to, well, that means you didn't get your way. So you were upset over something. This is 6 minutes. You can download it. You can keep it with you, and you can take it and just give new energy to the rest of your day. So that's my gift to you. It truly is my gift. It's available at my website, MarniSpencer-Devlin.com, in the store for $9.99. But it is my gift to you today. So come over and see me and sign up for that. So, why do we need a Confident Women's Conference? Why do we need such a thing? It's been the 8th one, so obviously we need one. Why do we need to motivate ourselves? What's the reason for that? Why is there so much overwhelm? Why is there self-doubt amongst us? Why do we do this? Why do we get together and we try to help each other, prop each other up? Why does it sometimes feel like it's an uphill road? Well, if the proof is really in you, then where the heck is it? That's what we're going to talk about today. So for that, in order to figure that out, let's take a look right now at what is driving you. What is it in you that makes you tick? What makes you go? Because there's always something in us that's driving you. We're always striving. So let's look at what gets you up in the morning. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Why do you get up and go to work? Of course, you could say, well, I gotta get up and go to work, I gotta make some money. But you know, that's not really it. That's not the reason you're doing it. Because there's Oprah, there's Ariana Huffington. They don't have to get up in the morning anymore to go and get some work. I think they've managed to scrape together just enough to barely make it by for the rest of their lives, right? But do they stay in bed and not get up anymore? No. They get up with even more gusto and even more something to create something new, to set up something new, to make the world a better place. What is that in them? And it's the same for you too. Even if you have one of those days that you dream of, a day where you get to stay in bed and you get to rest and you get to just, rejuvenate. How long does it really last before you get bored and you get fidgety and you think of something that needs doing? At the very least, you'll pick up a book, because we're just simply not made to make like cucumbers and do nothing. It's just not in us. Patience is called a virtue. It's in the Wamtek prayer. We ask for patience. Why do we ask for patience? Because we don't have it. Because we're not, if anybody was patient, they have learned to be patient. We're not cut out to be patient to begin with. There's something in us that's driving us forward, that wants more, that wants to do, and that wants it now, isn't there? It's in all of us. And what about adversity? What makes us get up over and over again when we've had adversity? I'm actually a perfect example of that. This is a picture of me when I was just a little tyke, when I was 2 years old. And I've had kind of a rough start in life. I was molested the first 10 years of my life by my brother. Now, the reason molestation is such a bad thing, and as a few of you have shared with me, you're also survivors of that. The reason it's such a bad thing is because it happens during a time when you're supposed to be growing up and you're supposed to be forming concepts about what safety is and what worth is. And during that time, you're being abused you're obviously not forming those symptoms, those concepts in your head, so you can never really form those again later. And the second thing that's so bad about this is that it sets you up for further abuse down the line. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was raped the first time when I was 12 years old. I was raped again when I was 14. Then when I was 17, it looked like things were going to look up. I became a professional model, and I got to marry my high school crush. And he was so proud of me that his wife, his young wife, was a professional model, until he realized that meant that other people would be looking at me. Other men would be looking at me. I know, duh, right? But to him, that was a big deal, and he became insanely obsessed with controlling me. Where he was so jealous, so he cooked up a diabolical plan. So with full knowledge and foresight, he got me addicted to heroin. Knowing full well what he was doing, intending to do that, because the plan was that he would control the heroin, he would control me, right? Didn't work that way. Plan backfired. I got away from him. But with all that I had already experienced in my young life, between the molestations and the rape, I was in so much emotional pain that the first time that drug hit my veins, I knew there was a better way to feel. I knew what it felt like to be out of pain, and I couldn't let that go. So I remained a heroin addict for 10 years, better part of 10 years, with all that entails. I was a junkie. Put that forward. And I wrote my book. It's called Crawling into the Light for a reason, because there were so many horrible things. It's 500 pages, and it reads more like an action-adventure novel than someone's autobiography. But when people read it, the one question they always ask me is, what kept you going? How did you make it through this? Why didn't you just lay down and never get up again? And I never know quite how to answer that, because how does one lay down and never get up again? It's not in us. No matter what happens, it's not in us to just lay down and never get up again. We have something in us that keeps us moving. And it starts even when we're little children. I'm sure many of you are parents, right? You know, little kids, they have ants in their pants. They're always got to be moving. They always got to be moving forward. And they ask a million questions, and they want to grow, and they want to learn, and they have big, big dreams. When I grow up, I'm going to be a dancer, or I'm going to be a princess, or I'm going to be the president of the United States. Now, why is that? Why do those little kids have those huge dreams? Why aren't they just happy in their little sandbox? What is it in them? It's that same drive. And it's in you as well. You set goals, you set business goals for yourself. You have dreams, you have ideas in your head. And then once you get there, you don't even celebrate your success. And maybe if you've been beating yourself up about that, if I celebrated my success more, maybe I'd feel better. But you know why you don't even celebrate your success? Is because by the time it materializes, by the time it finally comes into manifestation, you've moved on. You're bored with that already. Now you're on to the next thing. It's that same drive within you. That's why we like to go shopping, right, ladies? We don't go shopping because we need something these days anymore. We live in a wonderful world. We go shopping because we want to go shopping. We want for wanting's sake. And there was a time when I used to think that that's kind of because we're greedy, but now I realized it's not that. It's because we have something in us that wants. We want because we want more. It's just a drive that's in us. And you know what that really is? What is that drive that's moving us forward, that drive I've been talking about? It's evolution. It's simply evolution within us. We are constantly growing in awareness, and we're constantly growing in sophistication. Don't believe me? Look at a movie from the 70s. Man, we used to think we're so cool. Look at that hair and the gun, and oh my God, so tough. Now we laugh about this stuff. Or the fashion of the 80s. Look at those platform shoes, and the shoulder pads, and the hair. Look at Boy George up there. Today we laugh about that stuff. But why do we laugh about it? It's because we've moved on. We've grown in sophistication. We've grown in awareness. We've grown in enlightenment. But that enlightenment is precisely what moves us forward. It's that's in you that wants to move you forward. That's what's driving that enlightenment. Evolution moved all mankind forward. Otherwise, we'd still be sitting in caves. And why don't we still sit in caves? Because there was this one little caveman who saw fire, and he made it into, realized that it could be duplicated, and he had fire, and then everything, the world changed tremendously, and so it went on and on and on. It was always someone's idea, someone's desire, something that moved everything forward. You are significant. Your desires are literally the driver that evolves the universe. Think about that. Your desires make the universe move forward, drive the universe forward in your unique way. So you are tremendously significant. Now, why is this so important to know that? Why am I making such a big deal about it? I've been talking about it for 10 minutes now. What is that? Why is that so important? For that, I want to make you aware of, there are laws that are governing the universe. You know this. You know there's gravity and electricity and buoyancy. And when we've discovered these laws, everything changed tremendously. When we became consciously aware of gravity and were able to use it, able to build all sorts of machinery that changed the world. Electricity. When we learned to harness electricity, the world changed. I'm able to talk to you today because of electricity. Makes the lights go, makes the pictures go, makes the microphone go. So those laws, you know, they're invisible influences, but they have an influence on our lives. And those laws govern the physical world. There are also universal laws, also such invisible influences that govern the intangible aspects of your life. Intuition, creativity, perfect timing, law of attraction, law of wellness, law of abundance. These are invisible influences on our lives that govern our existence. Intuition, you know that's that voice inside of you that you usually ignore, that tells you which way to go. Creativity. What's creative about you? You're not creative. The creativity doesn't come out of the sinew in your brain. It doesn't come out of your hands. Creativity is an influence that comes from the intangible. Perfect timing. It's something that can be learned because you're actually always in perfect timing if you know how to align with it. Law of attraction. Who's heard of the law of attraction? Yes, many of you have. You know, it's a very, very powerful law. It tells you that everything that you're experiencing is always something that's reflected within you. Law of wellness. Very, very powerful. We live in this universe of well-being. We're not even aware of it. When you cut yourself, immediately everything in your body rushes towards healing, towards making it better, and a few days later it's completely gone. We take it for granted, but it's an invisible influence on our lives that's unbelievably important. In law of abundance, abundance is everywhere in the universe. We go chasing after it, and we don't need to. We just need to open up to it. We need to be in alignment with this law. Without the help of these influences, you cannot reach your full potential. You can't do it alone, any more than you could live without gravity. When you are not standing in your power, when you're not fully aware of how significant you are simply not eligible to make use of these important influences.
that are in our lives. You can't make use of them. And what do I mean by that? Simply that if you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your intuition either. So you can't hear your intuition, because if you don't trust your own judgment, how are you going to listen to a quiet voice within you? So you have to do without that guidance. You thwart your creativity because you're thinking, oh, it's probably stupid. And you just don't trust yourself. You don't get anything out of it, out of this invisible influence that governs your life. When you feel insecure, you discount your own ideas. You might have the idea that builds a better mousetrap that can change the world. It could be as important as that guy discovering fire. But you don't listen to it because you think it's, somebody else probably already thought of it. I'm not going to pursue it. And you subvert your desires. Maybe you really wanted something, but you won't go for it because you go, oh, well, no, it's all right. You go ahead. But remember, your desires are what drives the universe forward. Your desires are literally behind evolution. You cannot show up powerfully unless you are aware of how significant you really are. That's why I'm so on about this. You can literally not live the life that you are meant to live unless you are aware of how powerful and how significant you are. I created a program for that one. It's called the 7 Secret Laws of Success. I can talk to you about it afterwards. It's a program that helps you first identify and then how to align with these laws. So I can talk to you about it later on. So let me ask you something. Do you think that you're an accident? No. Anybody here think we're an accident? No, this doesn't make sense, does it? 75 trillion cells. 75 trillion cells, that's your body. And it's not just 75, I mean, that's a zero. That's a number with 12 zeros on them. That's an amazing number. But it's not just that they're all these cells together, they work together in perfect harmony. You know, there's a liver cell and a heart cell and a brain cell, and they all know exactly what they're meant to do. There's tremendous sophistication behind all that. All that doesn't come together without a divine plan. And even if you go for that, okay, one time maybe, but not 7 billion times. It's just really stretching the imagination. Clearly, we are not accidents. There's no way for that. So if you exist, and clearly you do exist, right? I'm dragging this out so much because we can't just make statements, make motivational statements and expect to have any kind of change from them. You need to say it in such a way to where that subconscious mind, the subconscious doesn't fight that statement. And when you say you exist, there's nothing in you that goes, that's not true. No, clearly you exist. And we just determined that you're also not an accident. So if you exist and you're not an accident, that means there's some intentionality behind you being here. Does that make sense? So if there's intentionality behind you being here, that means you have a purpose. You exist for a reason. And it behooves you to find that purpose because your happiness depends on it. Because you can only ever be happy if you are completely authentic. You can only be happy if you are being completely yourself. It's the only way. Your success depends on it. Because you cannot continuously fight nature in you and expect to get ahead. It's like swimming in a heavy river and trying to go against it. You can't expect to prevail that way. You can't, sorry about that, guys. You have to find the reason that you are here. You have to play your own game in order to be at your best. You can't play somebody else's game. You can't be at your best that way. That just makes sense, doesn't it? So it behooves you to find out what your purpose is. So you are completely unique. You have gifts and talents that no one else has. A mix of gifts and talents and strengths and abilities that no one else has in this world. And just like you're not an accident, that mix of gifts and talents is not an accident either. Nobody wants exactly what you want. Nobody wants it exactly the way you want it. Nobody can add your unique slant to the universe. Isn't that a crazy thought that your desires, your way of being, actually adds to the evolution of the universe? You add your unique slant to the universe. Your ideals and goals don't just pop up out of nowhere. They're inspired. They come from the intangible. They are God's way of communicating to you what you are meant to do. So you're meant to listen to your desires. You're meant to listen to what that voice inside of you that says, hey, let's go do this. That's the point. That's the reason you're here. See, it's not about fighting anything. Nina and I were just talking about that a little bit ago. People think they need to fight. They need to make things happen. It's about working hard. We like to say that in America. Yeah, we're hard workers. But you know, it's a fact that the poorest people in the world are the hardest working people in the world. It's not about working hard. I mean, even just the term, it doesn't even seem as hard. It's not about overcoming your client's objection. It's not about fighting against anything. It's not about being pushy or salesy. It doesn't work because where there's a will, there's a wall. That's the law of attraction. What you put out, when you push out, it has to push back. In physics, they say that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Another law that we have, physical law, it's the same as the law of attraction in this sense. So you can't push and expect to have something come back to you. It's about aligning with the divine flow of who you are, your authentic divine flow. And when you align with that, in accordance with the desires, in accordance with your intuition, and the things that you love, and the things that you're good at, then the things that you desire are added onto you. That's what it says in the Bible. All these things are added onto you. Your success, your health, your wealth, your happiness, and your peace, they're simply byproducts of being in alignment with who you really are. So it behooves you to figure that out and to honor that, You are absolutely the solution. You are significant. You are necessary. The universe has never made a meaningless act. God doesn't make junk. God doesn't make throwaway people. Nobody's here just as a filler. You are necessary, absolutely necessary to be here. You matter. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And actually, I have a mantra for you guys. In fact, it's a little card that I have come to my table. It's my gift to you. And it's something that I want to say now to you, and I want you to repeat it with me. And first, I want to say it first. It's simply, I exist. There's no one else like me. I am necessary. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. It's a statement that you can say to yourself when you're not completely clear on, are you that significant? You having one of those days where you're just thinking, oh, well, everybody's better. They're smarter than me. They're making more money. They're more successful in the same business as I am. How come them? How come not me? You're supposed to be picking up the phone. You're supposed to be calling people, and everything in you just doesn't want to do it because you're just not in your power. This will help you get into your power. So it's about, I exist. And you know, out of 7 billion people, there's not another one exactly like you. So that means that you truly are necessary. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So say it with me. I exist.
I exist.
There's no one like me.
There's no one like me.
I am necessary.
I am necessary.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be
One
here.
more time. I exist.
I exist.
I am. There's no one like me.
There's no one like me.
I am necessary.
I am necessary.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
The universe literally depends on you to be you. That's how important you are. And when you do that, then the proof is truly in you. Thank you very much.